Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're all having a wonderful time. Here we have my league starter for the Secret of the Atlas League in Path of Exile 1, and I just want to go over the progression so far from day 1 basically, before we move over to the next phase of this build, and maybe you will learn a thing or two, or even want to try it out for yourself. Now for the gear that I'm using right now, everything is basically 1 chaos items, and just recently got 2 level 87 and 2 red maps. Now we're using Energy Blade, and the great thing with Energy Blade is that you can basically play any skill you like with this. Now Energy Blade, what it does is basically takes a percent of your maximum energy shield, and you will get this Energy Blade providing flat elemental damage to it. So if you take this and you play Inquisitor, you can then also go and spec into Instrument of Virtue here, which will grant you Battle Mage. And the Battle Mage, what it does is it gave you added flat spell damage equal to the damage of your main weapon. And then we're also using Spellblade support on our link here, and basically doing the same as Battle Mage here. You get extra added spell damage equal to a percent of the damage on the weapon that you are using. And this basically makes it so we get a shit ton of added damage to our spells here. And that's basically how you get your damage. Now, I'm using Penance brand of Dissipation here, but as I mentioned earlier, Energy Blade, the great thing with it is that you can play whatever skill that you want. You can use normal brands if you like to. Armageddon brand is great, Storm brand works as well. You can even go for Arc if you like to, the choice is yours. But the Penance brand here of this Dissipation is what you usually want to go for end game. Now this is a transfigured gem, and you will have to find it or buy it from another player, right, to be able to get it, and I would highly recommend you to try to find it. And the reason why this is so strong is because you get a more damage multiplier per energy, and you gain 1 energy when you hit a enemy, and this will ramp up to 20 energy in total, so this gives you a shit ton of just more damage to this, which scales all that flat damage that we get really well. Now overall the build in its current state just works very well for getting all the unlocks on your Atlas. Now it's quite fast, getting over 120% movement speed, and that's going to be without haste from our Merc. Now something that's also very important to note here is that this is really a quite squishy build, right, and you can go even squishier, right? I chosen not to reserve all of my life. That's something that you can actually do to squeeze in 1 additional aura here for even more damage. But yeah, so chaos damage still goes through your energy shield, right? We have nothing that prevents that. And so I like to have a little bit life here. This build do have capped resist basically, or almost at least. So you do have mitigation for chaos resist, but it's really nice to have that extra life there. We can use our life flask if you want to, but we also have some life regen from Vitality Aura, and we're also using Stone Golem, right? Providing some extra life regen as well. Now let's go over the gear that we are using here. Start with the most important one, is going to be Ghost Drive, and this makes it so 50% of our maximum life will get converted to energy shield. So this is how you get your energy shield to start to scale the Energy Blade here, right? Very important item, but it's very cheap if you don't want the links for it. Now this also gives you 50% to chaos resist as well, which is awesome. Now the next item though, Callous Grace here, is what we're using for our main link. Now this item provides a level 18 faster casting, so it basically gets added to the links, right? So it's basically a free 5 link with this item. Super awesome, and it's very cheap to obtain. Next one is going to be Malachi's Simula, and this is a very interesting item. It gives your spells a 20% chance to deal double damage, which is awesome. And this also makes it so we don't have to worry about mana, which is also really great. Now with this we are using our auras. We are using a couple ones. We have Determination, Discipline, Energy Blade, and Vitality, and also Blood and Sand. Now with Blood Magic we can now reserve our health also, and when you get to 50% health you are considered low life. And that's where the next part goes in, and here we're using double Lora's Lanterns, and this provides just all elemental resist. You get increased movement speed when you are on low life, and you also get +2 chaos resist when on low life. damage of enemy hitting you is unlucky when you also are on low life. So that's basically make it so the hit value is going to be the lower one on the end there. It's the same as lucky, right? You throw your dice and it picks the worst scenario in this case for the enemies, which is good for us. Now, we are using double of these, so these are providing a shit ton of move speed, all resist and chaos resist, and this is you basically just buffing up all of these stats for us as of now. Now, with that we're also getting some stuff like Pain Attunement, for example. It's 30% more spell damage when on low life, which is also really great. Another item is Victorious Flight. This provides 20% move speed and also additional 20% increased move speed when we are on low life. So that's a free 40% move speed for basically no investment, which is awesome. Now for the rest of the items, it's just items that are found on the ground or from the mercs. Now you want to go for attributes, health, and just try to cap your resist, right? Attributes, health, that's what you want to go for. For the shield here, I also went with increased spell critical strike chance to buff those numbers up a little bit. We are currently at around 65, which is getting higher when we are in combat, right? When buffs are up and all of that. I think we are almost at 90% right now as of this current state. And for the flaws, we're also using a granite and a jade for some extra survivability, evasion and armor, right? And a normal silver and quicksilver for more movement speed. The silver here also giving us onslaught, right? For move speed, attack speed and cost speed. And cost speed is also something that is really good for this build, especially make it so the brands hit faster, right? Which is super important. Now for Pantheons, I'm using Sword of the Brine King and also Sword of Rislata. I've been slacking a little bit here as I'm still progressing through the maps, right? But here you want to get Tanner Lightfoot, right, so you don't get frozen anymore. And it's also nice with the Sword of the Brine King that you get that semi-stun immunity, right, from this. And Sword of Rislata just make it so life loss gain 3 charges every 3 seconds if you haven't used a life loss recently, providing some extra life recovery as well when we are on low life. Now let's take a look on the passive tree here, and the first notable one is going to be Rune Binder. You get a plus to 1 brand, right? So we're gonna have 2, which is awesome if you are playing brands, obviously. And we're picking up these notes here also with the brand, with the brand mastery, so we can have 2 additional brands, which is super important. And grabbing some extra damage from these notes right here. And yeah, just going with life, and these hybrids notes are really awesome. You have another one right here, right, providing life and energy shield. We have some crit nodes up here. Also went with the crit mastery for some extra crit multiplier against unique enemies. And yeah, then we're just using cost speed. Here's the lightning masteries, right, and here's you have more cost speed. And cost speed, as mentioned earlier, is super important for brands. Just making them deal damage faster, right? So we get those stacks up more frequently. And yeah, custom mastery for more cost speed. And we're also using lightning mastery here, and this is more for when you are using brand of Penance brand, sorry, because it do deal physical damage, and 50% from this get transferred to lightning damage, and this just makes it so an extra 40% of that will get converted to lightning. Nothing really that important, but it's a little bit helpful. We have some more brands here when you are starting to invest in crit. And then we just passing through everything here. We went over Pain Attunement. It's a 30% more damage when you are on low life. And we get some crit, cost speed, life right over here. And also here is something that is actually very important. Light Eater. And these nodes here. So when you are transitioning into, or when you are equipping like Ghost Wraith and starting to go with the blood magic and all that good stuff, it can feel a little bit squishy, right? Because you don't have anything to sustain your energy shield if you get hit. Now what this does is you get energy leech, right? Energy shield leech from the spell damage, which is very helpful to stay alive, just keeping your shields up a little bit more. And I just went with the Leech Mastery here for 5% of the Leech is also instant. We're also using some crit nodes right here, and you can grab Dexterity if you want to. You have another one here. That's something that you probably will struggle a little bit with. Something that's important is to get all attributes on your Amulet, for example. It's really helpful. And lastly, High Voltage. You get increased critical strike against shocked enemies, and they get shocked basically all of the time, so that's just free 100% critical strike chance with this, which is awesome. Lastly, Iron Will down at the bottom here. Strength damage bonus applies to all spell damage as well, which is really great. We have quite a bit of strength that can be invested in even more, right? So that the percent that you get from melee physical damage there per 5 strength will get to spell damage with this node, which is roughly like 70% or something like that. Now for the Ascendancy, we went over Instrument of Virtue here. You get the Battle Mage, which is super important, right? Now, the first one that you want to go for though is going to be Righteous Providence, and this gives you 1% increased critical strike chance per point of strength or intelligence, whichever is lowest. And you also get some flat attributes there as well. Now, for me, for example, I have 300 strength and 450 intelligence, so this is going to be equal to 300% increased critical strike chance from this node. And it's super strong, and it's really awesome to start to scale those numbers up. Next up is going to be Inevitable Judgment, and here you get critical strikes, ignore enemy monster elemental resistance. And this is super strong because you don't need to use any curse, for example, or even using any exposure as well, which is very nice. And this is basically doubling your damage from this node alone. Now for the third one, this is going to be Instrument of Virtue, as we went over before. Now for the last one, I would suggest going for Instrument of Seal, and this basically gives you a shit ton of cast speed and also increase to area of effect. So you get Phanteons for 4 seconds of reaching maximum Phantom charges. You gain 1 charge every second if you have attacked in the past second. So you will get this depending on what you're using for transportation or mobility skill. I'm using Shield Charge, for example, which works. You can also use Leap, right? And yeah, this will add up those charges, and then when you get to max charges, you will get those buffs providing extra damage basically. Now you can also go with Anger of Patience here. This just makes it so enemies deal less elemental damage and also take some increased elemental damage as well. Now for the links, I will put a link to the POB so you can check it out either on your web browser or on the Path of Building, right? But yeah, Penance brand, you want that with Spellblade support, you want the crit strike chance and also damage. Now something that's important to note here is you want to link one of your auras with the Eternal Blessing support. Now what this does basically makes your aura transform into a blessing and will disable all your other auras that reserve mana. Now as we don't have any mana that are reserved, we only have from our life basically, and this makes it so we get a free aura from using this. We also have Energy Blade, right, to get our main damage. Animate Guardian, we're using that, and also with Stone Golem, linked with minion life. We have Assassin's Mark for bosses, giving some extra critical strike chance and critical multi, and we also have a chance to gain power charges when we kill an enemy. But we're also using Enfeeble as our curse, so to take some less damage as well here. That's going to be our curse and marks. And then we have Blood and Sand. We are using the Blood version, makes it giving you a extra more damage multiplier from this. And also Discipline for some extra energy shield, and also Vitality for some regen. We have Shield Charge linked with faster attack support, and then we also have a Cause on Death with Portal, as we are quite squishy. And we're also using another mobility skill, Frostblink, if we need for bossing, for example, a instant mobility skill, and that's also linked with Spellblade support for some extra damage. Now for the Animate Guardian, I just went with a very basic setup to start with, and this is something that can improve a lot as you go, right? So now with Animate Guardian, it basically you don't lose the item that it have on it when it dies, right? So it's awesome to have from time to time, and I usually just use it before I go on bosses basically, and I just summon him up before the boss and get some free extra damage. Now, for the head, we're using a layer cast, that's 50% increased damage from that, a dying breath for even more damage, and it's also giving you increased effect of auras, for example, as well, and hexes also, curses, really nice starter weapon. Soulbound, you use that for the increased to maximum life. And then I went with a blood bond, and that's just to get a percent of life per second here, and also will increase the health of the minion with even more increased health as well here for the Animate Guardian. And lastly, I just went with some random boost that I had for as much elemental resist as you could possibly get to boost those survivability number up, right? And if we take a look on the merc that we are using, so we're using a kinetic dude here, and it's been working fairly well for us. Now, first of all, we are getting the haste buff here. We get increased movement speed, attack speed, and cast speed, which is really awesome. And other than that, the main thing that you want to go for your merc, and any merc basically, is going to be this amulet. Nearby ally damage with hit is lucky. Now, this is super strong for us, and especially all lightning builds, because you do have that low value right to that really high one. And what this does basically make it so when we deal a attack, it will roll the dice twice and it will pick the higher number, right? So it's a huge buff to damage to have this, and it's basically up all of the time. We're also using this shield here, Victorious Charity, and this just basically makes it so we are getting frenzy charges from time to time. 5% chance to get frenzy charges to nearby allies on hit. And we're also using this wand here just to make ourselves, giving ourselves some blind chance for the merc. And yeah, it's shooting really fast. The kinetic bolt is awesome. It's also spreading right with multi-shot and everything, so we're getting quite a bit of frenzy charges and also blinding everything as we go. And I just had Blunderbore as a drop. I popped it in. The merc do get the effect from the shiny seam, so that's funny, and yeah, I just went with that. However, Immortal Flesh is something that's really nice. You get regen for this belt just to keep the merc alive, and we have quite a bit of use stats, right? We got a little bit of armor, around 5k life, and we are capped with resist. Something that's also important with this amulet here, lightning damage of enemy hitting you is lucky, so they actually deal more lightning damage to the merc, right? So do keep your lightning resist up all the time with that. But hey, yeah, that's what I'm using for my merc, and it's been working really well. It's never dying once. Maybe it does when we get to a higher tier, right? We are progressing to the red maps right now, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. And there we go, a bit of a showcase of the progression so far of the Energy Blade starter. I'll make probably a updated one once we get some more items for the next phase, which is going to be the Ivory Tower instead, and more of the attribute stacking. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. If any other questions, feel free to drop a comment and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. With that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!